Hello boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is Defub21 and today we have a new trailer for Total War Warhammer. So without further ado, let's take a look.
Sega.
Welcome to our first demo walkthrough for Total War Warhammer. What you're about to see is a scripted version of the battle for Blackfire Pass, a set-piece quest battle between the Empire and the Greenskins. The game is very much a work in progress at this stage, but we hope you'll enjoy having a look at how it's all coming together.
Now is the time, men of the Empire, to unite, for the Orcs gather. Beyond the pass, a war boss draws to him all that is foul. An Orc horde beyond imagining. As Sigmar thought, so shall we. We will become part of the legend. We will wipe the Orcs from our door. And only when this is done, when our nation has healed, shall I take up Gal Maraz for Sigmar, for the Empire, for the Warhammer!
So that was Emperor Karl Franz giving his rousing pre-battle speech. He's one of the game's legendary lords, so he's a powerful general and a mighty warrior in his own right. Playing a campaign as the Empire, you'll unlock this particular quest battle as Karl Franz levels up. So the Empire's fielding a lot of artillery in this battle, but it's worth noting that you won't just be able to recruit all of this stuff right from the start of the game. There are quite a few late-game units on show here today, and the same goes for spells as well. You'll see a lot of kind of late-game, high-level stuff. Now, as we approach the Greenskin line, you can see just how different these two races are. The armies from Warhammer Fantasy Battles give us so much diversity to work with. The playable races in the game are going to look and play really, really differently in both campaign and battle. And looking out over Blackfire Pass for a second here, you can just see the kind of fantastical landscapes that we've never been able to do before in a Total War game. And this is just one geographical part of the old world. This is the Greenskin race leader Grimgor Ironhide. He's accompanied by the Immortals, his hard-as-nails band of Black Orc bodyguards. He's also brought an Orc Shaman into battle with him, so we'll see him throwing some spells around in a bit. So these snickering little goblins are manning a Doom Diver catapult. Now you can see a goblin fanatic there climbing into the mechanism eagerly with his homemade wings strapped to his arms. And as it fires, you can opt to take first-person control of the Doom Diver and pilot him to his doom. Now it's a pretty wild ride, but once you get the hang of it, you can really get proficient. So that's another spellcaster right here. This is a Goblin Shaman. You can see him riding his wolf there. So he casts spells from the Little War magical lore. So there's a bit of a flanking counterattack lining up here from the Empire. We've got some ranged cavalry up front there in the shape of Outriders and Pistoliers. Coming up behind them, we have the noble Imperial Knights of the Reichsguard and a unit of Demigryph Knights. These are super heavy shock cavalry on vicious, monstrous mounts. They can withstand a real pounding, so they're really useful in longer melee engagements. So the Goblin Shaman here has just cast a spell called the Curse of the Bad Moon. Now it's a pretty powerful, impressive looking high-end spell, but it's worth noting that we don't want magic to be too OP. You'll have a limited pool of magic to use in every battle that recharges over time according to various factors. But basically you're going to have to pick and choose just when to cast high-level spells like this. We don't want magic to totally dominate the game, it's more of a kind of useful supporting tool. So the demis are going in now, and you can see just the beautiful handcrafted animations at work here. I mean, you can see that throughout the battle. One thing that we're still working on is cavalry versus cavalry impacts, and in fact impacts across the board. So what we're aiming for is scenes like this to be much more punchy, with more physical hit reactions from the cavalry that struck. In short, we want to make a real kind of spectacle of these engagements. So panning down the line here, you can see just how dynamic our infantry charges have become. You've got units leaping into the fray, defenders physically bracing for impact. You've got AoE attacks going off from large characters. That's Grimgor Ironhide there, getting stuck in with his big magical axe. And in go the trolls at the end of the line here. Now, monstrous infantry like this have you know, lots and lots of hit points. They can mete out a ton of damage with those big attacks as well. And these guys are also, as you can see, partial to puking acid bile all over their enemies. Bit of aerial combat going on here between Deathclaw and the Wyvern. Now, if you gain mastery of the skies in a battle like this, you can then use the maneuverability of your flying units to strike pretty much anywhere on the battlefield. And as the Wyvern comes down here to attack these state troopers, you can see how each of these big monsters has some really spectacular combat animations. It really brings them to life and gives them tons of character. Now, these are two of the Empire's hero characters. This is the Warrior Priest, and just beyond him there, the Witch Hunter. Heroes are essentially agents, so they can roam the campaign map, perform a number of different functions, but they're also powerful solo warriors in their own right, and if you attach them to an army, they can then throw themselves into combat alongside the troops. So this is the Orc Shaman casting one of the spells from the Big War magical lore. So he's casting the Foot of Gork here, which is he's literally summoning the Orc god Gork to stamp his enemies into the dust, which is, as you can see, bad news for the Luminarch and the steam tank nearby. And finally, the Empire's celestial wizard is summoning down the Comet of Cassandora. So thanks for watching the demo, and this really just scratches the surface of the incredible Warhammer world we'll be asking you to conquer. To catch all the latest gameplay and feature reveals, subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook.
Well, for those who may have forgotten, this is Defub 21. And what we just saw was one, in my view, very interesting and very attention-grabbing and very enthusiasm-generating trailer. So it was a walkthrough trailer of the battle sequence from the previous trailer, which is effectively a trailer for this trailer, a teaser trailer, if you will. And it basically shows the the battle sequence from the previous trailer, which was kind of recorded from a cinematic standpoint in engine, to actually showing that same battle fought throughout from beginning to end effectively in game, in engine, although it seems to have been kind of pre-programmed. In other words, the where the units moved to, what units they attacked, or if they were ranged, what they fired upon was apparently pre-scripted. But in other words, it was just the pre-programmed behaviors, but it was in game, it was in engine. It looked like it did in the previous trailer, which is always in this case, has had a good thing about the previous trailer, was that it looked like it wasn't something that had been sexed up. It looked like something that was real, that was an actual game, that was in development. Although I do kind of find it says the kind of the beginning that it's there's a disclaimer saying it's pre-alpha footage. It comes across as being a bit, that's pushing it a bit. I think this is certainly, if it's pre-alpha, then their definition of what of alpha level footage or an alpha level state of development for a game does seem to be rather high compared to other developers / publishers out there, because the game does look, it's not clearly not finished, but it does look kind of, seriously kind of intact, as it were. The main weaknesses, as I saw it, weren't so much the animations for the big units, but the animations for the small units. In other words, the little guys they made up there, like we've got 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 individual soldiers in a formation. Their animations clearly needed some work, both in terms of fighting similar units from the opposing side, in terms of making sure the guys are all in contact with the orcs and hitting each other, and the orcs are hitting them and all the rest on one side. And the other side, I think their animations in terms of them attacking the big units when they're fighting the big units could also be done to a much better standard than it currently is. That's kind of one of the, which again leads me to believe that it's genuine in-game footage, is because there are rough edges, and one of those would be the animation. Effects probably could do with some work. The animations and what you see of the two, like there's two vehicle units that are destroyed, as you see in the video. Maybe the destruction done to them could be more extreme than what you see there. Again, there's a whole raft of things that could be worked upon, obviously, or at least I think they could be worked upon. But it does looks like it's quite far ahead into development. I don't think we'll see this year, for no other reason than releasing what a lot of the industry, unfortunately, these days views as a niche genre game. In other words, an RTS, or at least a game with RTS elements to it. This holiday season is probably not on the cards, just because maybe they could get the game into a publishable state by, say, November this year, considering how far along it seems to be, because that's definitely, I don't think that's alpha footage at all, but I think it's much more advanced than that in terms of development. But in terms of competing with the big beasts that are coming out this Christmas, and this is really the first real true proper Christmas for the PS4 and the Xbox One, and there wasn't much at launch in 2013, and 2014 for the most part was something of a damp squib. So holiday 2015, I might do a video on one of my expectations for this Christmas, but I don't think they'll be want to be launching then. So I think, taking that into account, that they don't want to be launching at Christmas, I'd say we'll see this game first half of next year at some point. Again, a concentration on hopefully making it as good as they can, polishing it to the nth degree. And because of course it's a game that's still in development, maybe we'll see support for DirectX 12 and what that means, not necessarily in terms of fancier visual effects, but just better performance on existing hardware. It would certainly bode very well for my graphics card if I was able to run this game in a DirectX 12 mode to a higher standard in terms of graphical effects, frame rate and resolution than I've been able to do on current high-end DirectX 11 games like Witcher 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, the PC version obviously, and well, we all know about Batman Arkham Knight on PC. It's a total train wreck. But anyway, I digress. I could go on and yammer on and repeat myself. Don't want to be doing that. This is Defub21. If you enjoyed this video, please take a look at my channel. If you like the content that's available for you there, feel free to subscribe. This is Defub21 signing off. Toodaloo.